Hello everyone. Today I'll be sharing about wage determination, which means how workers' pay is decided in the job market. It's important because wages affect our daily lives, how we live, what we can afford, and even the country's economy. Many things decide wages, like skills, educations, demand for jobs, and government rules such as minimum wage. Today, this topic is matter than ever with problems like low wages, unemployment, rising prices, and even AI replacing jobs. People are worried about fair pay. The COVID 19 pandemic also showed how some jobs are not secure or well paid. That's why it's important to understand how wages are set so we can build a system that is fair for everyone workers, businesses, and the economy.
Alright, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Lohadi Belokman and my ID number is 2024252082. And right now I want to explain about wage determination. The definition of wage determination is the process through which wages or salaries are established for workers in the labour market. It is influenced by various factors, primarily the interaction of the demand and supply of labour. Employers demand labour based on the need for workers to produce goods and services, while workers supply their labour in exchange for wages. The equilibrium wage rate is achieved at the point where the quantity of labour demanded equals the quantity of labour supplied. If wages are too high, there may be a surplus of labour, which is unemployment, and if wages are too low, there may be a shortage of workers.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Arya Mishami Muhammad Noor. My ID number is 2024-265-868. And I want to explain about method of wage determination. First, we got time-based wage, where workers are paid based on the amount of time they work. Can be per hour, per day, and per month. Next is PS rate wage. Workers are paid based on the number of units they produce. It's common in construction, where payment can be per unit of work complete, such as brick laid on fence, meter install. The last is performance-based wage, which are tied to individual or team performance, such as bonus or commissions. Next is I'm going to explain how wage different in competitive labour market and monotony labour market. For competitive labour market, many employers and workers and no single entity control wage level, and which are determined by supply and demand. Next is monotony labour market. Only one or very few employers dominate the market, and employer has wage setting power.
Part A. Question number 3. Factors influencing wages. Point number 1. Skills and education. Jobs requiring specialized skills or higher level of education generally command higher wages because there is typically a smaller pool of qualified candidates. Workers who have advanced education or hold professional certification or license may earn more than other workers in the same occupation who don't have these credentials, especially when credentials are sought after by employers. So, number 3. Factors influencing wages. Point number 2. Experience. Often, the longer you do a job, the more productive you become. As a result, experienced workers usually earn more than beginners. Workers who have in-demand skills also may earn more. When a person has more work experience, they usually have more skills and knowledge. This helps them do their job better. Because of that, employers are willing to pay them a higher salary. For example, a worker with 10 years of experience may earn more than someone is just starting a job.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. Today I will explain two important factors that influence wages. The first one is unionization. Strong trade unions play a big role in negotiation higher wages, better benefits for their members. Usually, wages are decided through collective bargaining. This means representatives of workers and employers come together to negotiate pay and working conditions. If the trade union is strong, it can influence or even set wage levels in the organization. The power of the union depends on its membership size, financial strength, and leadership. So, when the unions are strong, they can protect workers and they help improve their income. The second factor is industry. Different industries or locations offer different wage levels. This is because of things like this cost of living, economic conditions, and demand of labor. For example, jobs in cities may pay more because living costs are higher or because there is more demand for certain skills. Also, some industries naturally pay more. For instance, tech and finance often offer higher salaries than retail or agriculture. So, where you work and or what that industry you are in will also affect how much you earn.
Thank you to Irfan and Farhin for explaining the factors that influence wages. And I, Muhammad Danish Shafi, will continue with the last factors that affect our wages. And it's a gender. The gender pay gap is different in average gross hourly earnings between women and men. It is based on salaries paid directly to employees before income tax and social security contribution are deducted. Only companies of 10 employees or more are taken into account in this calculation. There could be many reasons for existing of the gender pay gap. Some could be related to the level of education, work experience, and working part-time. There are more women than men in some economic sectors where average wages are lower. Another reason could be that men often hold better paid positions than women in a given sector. Hi, we meet again, and now I will explain for part B, which is the application to current issue. So first question, are wages keeping up with the cost of living? So in Malaysia, wages are closely tied to inflation and the cost of living, although overall inflation was lower at 1.4% in early 2025. Essential items like food have seen faster price increases, making it harder for families to cope. The government raised the minimum wage for 1,500 to 1,700 ringgit, but this is still below the estimate RM2,700 ringgit needed to live comfortably in cities like Kuala Lumpur. Between 2020 and 2035, private sector wages rose by nearly 8%, but prices increased by almost 10%, meaning real wages actually fell. And there also a big wage gap between urban and rural areas. Average pay in Kuala Lumpur is around RM2,964, while in states like Kelantan and Sabah is only RM1,700 to 1,900, making it tougher for rural communities to keep up with rising costs.
Thank you, Danish, for explanation. So now, let's talk about something that really affects us, whether our wages are keeping up with the cost of living. On this slide, you'll see a table showing inflation and minimum wages in Malaysia over the past few years. For example, in 2023, the inflation rate was 2.5%, but the minimum wage stayed at 1,500 ringgit. In 2025, it's expected to rise a little bit to 1,700 ringgit, but inflation will still be around 2 to 3%. So what does this mean? Even though wages are going up, prices are rising too, which means real income stay almost the same. Many Malaysians, especially those earning minimum wage, still struggle to make ends meet. That's why it's important for the government to adjust wages regularly, not just based on numbers, but based on the real cost of living. If not, more people will feel the pressure of high prices with low income, and this will affect their quality of life.
Hello, Assalamualaikum. My name is Ikmal Hakimi bin Muhammad. My student ID is 2024240852. I'm gonna be continuing part B, application to current issue. For second one, the gig economy, like Uber, food delivery apps, how is wage determination different for gig workers? See, Malaysia's gig economy is expanding rapidly with over 3 million gig workers by 2024. While gig work offers flexibility, it lacks job security and benefits like minimum wage, paid leave, and social protection. Earning depends on the number of tasks, demand, and platform fees, like 50% to 30%, with workers also covering their own expenses. Many like food delivery riders earn between 1,200 and 1,800 monthly, often below the 1,700 minimum wage, making financial stability difficult for them. So we can see that people who do jobs like Uber, food delivery apps are making very low income. Because gig workers don't have formal contracts or benefits, they are more vulnerable if they get sick or have fewer jobs. The government is starting to look at ways to help gig workers, like offering social security schemes and making sure platforms treat workers fairly. By improving internet access and digital skills training can also help gig workers find more jobs and earn better pay. To sum up, gig workers in Malaysia face uncertain incomes and fewer protections compared to regular workers. While gig work offers flexibility, it also comes with risk. Policies that protect gig workers while keeping the benefits of flexible work will be important for Malaysia's future. There's a simple table comparing gig workers earning to the minimum wage. As you can see, it's very different from the previous year.